Are you a beginner, frozen in the loop of learning triads, but are struggling to break free? Then this is the video for you, as we're showing you how to expand your playing from just 3 triads to allow you to play any chord in the top 3 strings. We're going to start with 3 strings along the bottom of your guitar, so you can play those pretty handily. So I'm playing D, G here, A, so I'm playing 1, 4, 5. However, this G is not technically a triad. I'm playing G, and then B, and then G again, so I'm missing out on my 5th. Okay, so back to this shape. If you know this shape, the first note you want to know is the string which holds the root note. And for this shape, it is the B string. This is B, C, C sharp, D. So this is the major shape for this B string. Now that's interesting. There's my D, D sharp, E, all the way up to G here, A. So there's my 4, 5 to my 1. 1, 4, 5. But you can also do more. So I know this is my root note. The next note to know in your triad is where the 3rd is. And we've got D is 1, E is 2, F sharp is your 3rd in the scale. So there's my 3rd. So why is the 3rd interesting? Well, first it defines whether a chord is major or minor, which seems pretty important. But also it lets you do lots of cool stuff. Play your suspended 2nd and you send that suspended 4th chord, or change it from D to D minor. So knowing that, we can start to think about harmonizing the entire scale. The last thing we want to know is, how would I possibly play a D diminished? Well, you've got your root, you've got your 3rd, and you've got your 5th. And a D diminished lowers the 3rd by a half step, so it goes from here to here. And it lowers the 5th a half step from here. So it flattens them both. So this is a D diminished. So let's go ahead and harmonize the entire D major scale. So we got D, and of course we know in the scale of D, the chords that come out are D, E minor, F sharp minor, G is major, A is major, B, which is 6th, is B minor, and C sharp is diminished before we get back to the D again. So there we have it. We have D, we have E, but guess what? We have to make it a minor. So there's my minor shape. Remember, this is my D, this is my D minor, this is D sharp minor, this is E minor. So I went D, E minor, and then we're just going to slide it up 2 to get our F sharp minor. Next chord is our G, which is our 4th, and an A, which is our 5th, and then we're back to minor again, so we're back to this shape, and this note is the B. This is B minor, and up here we play the C sharp diminished, which you may not be able to see, so I'll play it down here. Here's my C sharp diminished to my D. So there's the entire scale harmonized. D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor, C sharp diminished, and back to D again. And all from knowing first where your root is, then when your 3rd is, and finally where your 5th is to get you that diminished. Okay, and that's for the shape of D, and this D shape is a major chord around the root being on the B string. So you could use it to mess around with, you could use it to transition between chords, you could use it a number of different ways. So that's one root with the shape. On the E string, the shape we think of would be this E chord. The top and the bottom here are both the root of that chord. And so therefore this E shape, F, F sharp, G. And so often you'll hear I call it a G shape just because I think of it as a G shape. But the root is on the top high E string, and the shape is the major shape. And so we have to think about, where is my third? Well, fortunately for us, our third is right here. So to make this a minor, it's very simple. Just take your finger off and there's your minor. There's G, G major, and there's G minor. Next, if we want to think about where the diminished is, we've lowered the third, our root is up here, this is our fifth, so it has to be lowered by one. So there is our G diminished. Think about this, where this is our root, this is our fifth, and this is our third. There's our G, there's our G minor, and there's our G diminished. It's all based on this root note, which actually gets a little bit confusing because you know this as D7. So it could be considered a F sharp diminished. So there's an F sharp diminished, but it's also D7. Ignore that, because the D7, then we're not thinking about it as the root, because the root would be up here. Remember, triads have to have a root in them. So there's my G, there's my G minor, and there's my G diminished. So let's go up to play D up here. There's my D, there's my E minor, there's my F sharp minor, there's my G, there's my A, there's my B minor, there's my C sharp diminished, and there's me back to the D again. So I harmonize through the entire scale. So we've got two shapes so far. And the last one is the A shape. And the A is coming from this third G string. This is G, G sharp, A. This is the shape. This, and this. And you probably know A minor. So here's my A. If I was playing all strings, there's the bottom three. But to play A minor, you probably know this shape. But now you know that this is the third, and it's being lowered. So here's my major shape, here's my minor shape. If I was playing a D, this would be a D minor. So we've got the root, which is a D here. This is my third, but I lower it to get the D minor. And guess what? I have to lower the fifth also. There's my D diminished shape. So this is my diminished shape. Here's my major shape, here's my minor shape, and here's my diminished shape. All based on the third string root. All right. So what could we do with this? We could play D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor, and then we were going to play the C sharp diminished. So now you know 3 triads: D-shaped, E-shaped, A-shaped. And by knowing where the third is on this D, you can make it D minor. And here's my D, and this is my D minor shape. And then to make D into D diminished, you lower the third and you lower the fifth. So you got this kind of weird shape where you're skipping a whole fret. There's my D diminished. And to play the D diminished up here, D minor, D diminished, D diminished. Okay, so A minor, and we have to lower it all the way down. D diminished. D minor, D diminished. And for D using this shape, D minor, D diminished. So from these three shapes, and then remember all those shapes are movable, it depends, the root tells you what the chord is. You can have three different varieties, the major, the minor, and the diminished. That's it. Happy triadding. If you want more guitar lessons, then click this playlist. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.